It's important to understand this is normal, and it's not your child's fault. It's not the parent's fault. It's part of a developmental process. And the part of the brain, which is in the frontal lobes, that acts to reduce the voltage of anger, that part is simply immature. It is not ready. To try to stop the anger will only hurt your child and make your child feel like nobody cares about what they need and how they feel. It might scare your child. So important to give a safe environment when a big angry tantrum begins. Don't get angry with your child. That will make the anger longer and bigger. The greatest power that a parent has is to listen, to learn to really listen to what our children need. When they feel like somebody is trying to understand why they feel that way, that helps the anger to settle down. With an older child, if you just always say yes whenever they want something, yes, that's permissive. The exact opposite is true for a baby, especially around breastfeeding. The reason being that babies are incapable of waiting because they're unable, their brains aren't developed, so they are unable to imagine a future. Saying yes to when the baby's hungry doesn't create a more dependent child. That's the very recipe for a child who will be more independent later. Your little child is 18 months old. That's right in the borderline between baby and toddler. This is perhaps that you can just very slowly and gradually, it might be more tolerable for your child if you have to say not now, but that's more tolerable. Little children are very sensuous. They find joy in their food, not just with the taste and with a full belly. They find immense joy with the feeling of food, the smell of food. They're in love with food. They like to put some on their face and on their clothing and on their mother. At 15 months, it's way too young, way too young. There's no way that the human brain can understand why it's so upsetting to mommy to have food on the carpet. They can't comprehend that, so that's asking too much. You know, you can be very, very gentle and set a boundary with your hands, and you can say, no, I don't like you throwing your food, let me take that. You may have to do that 108 times before it starts to become a learned thing. So that there's every reason to be gentle, and in being gentle, your child can then hear you better without being ashamed or frightened of you. So my definition of a baby from 3 months to 18 months is somebody that we need to say yes to them. No does not work very well for under 18 months. If I'm a baby who's 6 months old and I'm in a room crying, "Mommy," no, they don't say that, do they? They don't have words. But if I'm going, "Ah," because I want to be touched and held or picked up or fed, and nobody comes, very quickly I go into terrible panic and absolute despair, because I can't imagine, okay, mum is answering the phone right now because I can hear, but she'll come soon. There is no soon. There is only right now. Under 18 months, the response that they need is a prompt one. We need to keep them quite close to us for them to feel secure. So the main need from 3 months to 18 is emotional security. And when we get that emotional security, that forms the most strong foundation for every other stage of life, all the way through to 120 years of age. It stays with us, that security for life, which means that we can handle the difficulties, the challenges, the loss, the grief, the frustrations of life much better. Even if something traumatic happens later in life, they recover from the trauma much sooner. And this is understood very well from the research. And they live through their mouth a lot at that age. And that's why breastfeeding is so important. They feel their intimacy and their love a lot through their mouth. And that's an evolutionary and neurological process. And through their skin. So holding, a lot of holding and carrying, that helps babies a lot to feel secure when we carry them close to our body. I really like those slings that you can wear so that your hands are free. You can still make a cup of tea and wash the dishes and type on your computer, and your baby is on you. So calm, very much calmer. Babies that are worn on the body, the research shows, they don't cry so often. And then as they start to stand up and feel a little bit more confident, and they walk away and they start to climb things and run a little bit, and they have words start to come in, everything, from 14 months to 20 months, there's big changes. 18 months is the middle of that. And even though the same need for emotional security is still there, but a new need comes in, which has more to do with their autonomy.